717. I'm back with another video. So I just wanted to share some cards with you guys in regards to the Divine Masculine Collective and what type of feelings and emotions that they're experiencing at this time. I'm sensing that there's many of you who have had communication from your masculines, and at this time I'm really feeling that they're trying to get across the message to you that they really love you. And, with that message, I feel like they want to let you know that they do have a big vision for the both of you and that they're working very hard on it at this time. And I feel like the Divine Feminine is very much setting a great example for the Divine Masculine in terms of how he wants to be as a person, and that's bringing in a lot of abundance. It's bringing in a lot of financial abundance, and the people that he's meeting that's able to help him accomplish things a lot faster. He's seeing that a lot of this abundance is coming from his connection with the feminine and a lot of the information that she's bringing to his attention. And if you'll notice the beetle there, right at the throat chakra. And I feel like this signifies a lot of wisdom that he's now speaking in his life. And, it's not necessarily this wisdom is from the Divine Feminine. This wisdom belongs to the masculine, and this wisdom is something that's always been within him. It's just that the feminine energy brings it out of him and makes him remember his truth. And I feel like he's setting new goals in his life. And this all has to do with bringing in his own dreams into reality. And for the Divine Masculines and Feminines, a family life and being together in whatever way that means, a family comes in many different forms. So for the both of them, whether they're in families, whether they both have children, they're separated, whether they have no children, it doesn't matter what the dynamic is. The both of them together, period, is family. And that's that big, bold vision that they're starting to see. Both of the twin flames are starting to see that, but most of all, the masculine. He's starting to understand that it doesn't really matter what kind of situation the feminine is in at this time, or vice versa. If you're a masculine that's in a situation where you're married, you have a family, you are connected with someone else, whether you're single and you're just dating, whether you have a girlfriend, all of these 3D dynamics doesn't matter, because twin flames are really here to shift that perspective with each other. And so I hate to say that it's causing upheaval in their lives, because upheaval makes it sound like things are, really getting dug up in a not so pleasant way. But, things are really getting dug up, but they're finding a lot of strength to put the pieces back down a lot more gently and understand certain concepts around peace. And that's a big, bold vision. I just had the sort of emotion or feeling or thought, like even on the front of this deck, of many of you blending your families together. So if you're in a twin flame connection and you both have families, or you're married, or you don't know how you would ever come together because you have kids, I want you both to know that your mission or your goal or your purpose here as twin flames, or the reason you're connecting so heavily to each other despite your current 3D circumstance, is that you're here to raise the planet's idea and vibration about unconditional love. And the masculines will do so by loving the feminine's children unconditionally, and vice versa. The feminine will love the masculine's children unconditionally. They will have wonderful, loving relationships with each other's spouses, with each other's ex partners, etc. And it's setting a new wave of emotions onto the planet in terms of how we all should be receiving and reciprocating each other. And let's just turn this card around. It says, power of attraction. And if you look at it, it's, the feminine and the masculine. Excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. I have a cold, so you might hear me clear my throat occasionally. But, the feminine and the masculines are really coming together in harmony because they're understanding that their love has a lot of purpose. It's not just some affair or, some scandalous connection between them. As much as their outside environment tries to influence the connection in that way, there's too much synchronicity and spiritual aspects to their love and attraction and sexual chemistry that they're no longer allowing those influences inside. Like, if you really look at this card, they're in their own world now, and they're starting to accept and hear a lot of spiritual truth in regards to their connection with each other. And I feel like the universe is speaking to the both of them. So that's what's making them shut out a lot of negative influences, in their lives, even if it's like family and friends, parents, their spouses, their kids. The twin flames understand each other on a level that no one else does except the other and God. And that's why the Trinity comes out, or you hear body, mind, and spirit a lot within the twin flame connection, because it really only is the masculine, the feminine, and God who know the truth about the twin flame connection. So that's what the masculines and feminines, are really, really discovering at this time. And I think it's really beautiful. That's why the masculines are coming in with a lot of connection and telepathy, and even like physical 3D communication, whether you've experienced it or not. And many of you who have experienced the 3D communication, they're coming in really, really heavy with a lot of emotions, even if it may be brief. And the feminines have grown so much that they're learning to appreciate this brief period of coming together, expelling all of this emotion. And even if they go away again, the feminines are allowing them that space to be free. And the masculines are really showing a lot of appreciation to the feminine for giving them that time and space. So this is how it might play out for some of you. You haven't spoken to your masculine in months, and then when he does communicate, he'll drop something on you like, I love you. And you're like totally caught off guard, but he doesn't have to say anything else, because your dreams and your thoughts and your emotions from that point on will decipher everything, you need to know. It says here, after the storm, and that works, perfectly, because I feel like this is the space that the feminines have been wanting to get to for a really long time. Is like, okay, the in and out communication happens and you get super stressed out, but now you're like, okay, now that the storm's over, I totally understand that the separation really brings in a lot of that wisdom. With the good old Al here, the separation brings in that wisdom, right? If you really pay attention and lean back and give them their space when they separate or ghost, then they'll drop some messages to you in your dreams and songs and signs and synchronicities, and you'll be able to tell exactly where they're at. So that way you'll find communication is happening more and more and more frequently with the masculines, just simply because the feminines are learning to trust that big bold vision, right? Because of the power of their spiritual attraction and connection with each other, right? So I feel like I'll just draw one more card, I guess, to wrap up that message of them just connecting more spiritually with each other on the 5D level, and it's growing the connection. They're both feeling it. What do you feel? They're feeling each other. Each other is the world. I've talked about this card before, and it's juggling. So with the divine masculine and feminine, that's why it's a feminine wearing the tie and shirt, And because it's like masculine to wear the tie, but it doesn't really matter that she's a woman because their energies are wanting the same. They don't have time to care about that stuff. They're juggling, you know, the intense love that they have for each other. It's like, never mind what body I'm in. What about what I'm feeling? That's what we can't get away from. So they're each other's world, and they're really battling family, friends, outside influences, outside ideas about their connection, and really breaking free and just going for it regardless of what anyone says or thinks. They're reshaping their ideas, right? Like people who are married and they discover their twin flame, for example, in the past, they might have had influences in their connection to tell them things like, oh, how could you break up a family? You don't know what you're doing. Think about the kids. But now the masculine and feminines are understanding the world from a bigger perspective and realizing that those ideas are just apples and oranges, right? It's the twin flames' goal to come here on earth to reshape those ideas. So instead of inflicting fear or influencing fear on those types of connections, twin flames are now asking themselves questions like, how do we make divorce a pleasant experience? How do we choose to put our kids first? If you guys don't know about Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats' story, you know, for me, I strongly feel that their connection, even with Swiss Beats' wife Mashonda writing a book called Blend, it really talks about the three of them having an experience where Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys fell in love, and they really had to, you know, juggle that whole idea of finding new love and having it be so intense that you can't deny it, but also having a responsibility to the people in your lives currently, and not follow the old paradigm so much in terms of having love be such a terrible negative experience, right? What you feel you can't deny. So most people are starting to wake up and understand that when we're in a relationship and when we're in a marriage and we discover true love, it's either you stay there and you pretend that you don't feel what you feel. What do you feel? Or you speak your truth and set an example for your children and even your spouse or your karmic partner that it's important for us to live authentically and live this life experience in our truth. Because ideally, that's what our souls came here to do, whether we see it or not. That's why the truth haunts us. That's why we can't sleep sometimes. That's why it gets uncomfortable at night. It's because we're constantly being tested to live in our truth and live authentically. All right, guys, I hope that reading finds you all well and that there's some messages in there for some of you. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Take